The unexpected discovery: the late afternoon sun filtered through the apartment building's narrow hallway windows, casting long shadows across the worn carpet. David Chen adjusted his maintenance uniform and checked the work order on his clipboard one more time. Apartment 3B, leaky faucet. It seemed like such a simple repair, yet it would change everything. For 3 months now, David had been working undercover in his own company's residential properties. As the CEO of Harbor Point Holdings, he owned dozens of apartment buildings across the city. But sitting in boardrooms and reading reports had left him disconnected from the real experiences of his tenants. He needed to understand what life was truly like for the families who called his buildings home. The decision hadn't been easy. He'd traded his tailored suits for work boots and coveralls, his corner office for a maintenance van filled with tools he was still learning to use properly. His assistant thought he'd lost his mind, but David knew this was something he had to do. He knocked gently on the door of apartment 3B. "Maintenance," he called out in a friendly voice. The door opened to reveal a young woman with tired eyes and auburn hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked to be in her late 20s, wearing a faded tank top and jeans with small stains that spoke of a long day. "Oh, thank goodness," she said, relief washing over her face. "I'm Sarah Martinez. I called about the kitchen sink 3 days ago. It's been getting worse." Behind her, David could hear the sound of a small child playing. A little boy, maybe 4 years old, appeared at his mother's side, clutching a toy dinosaur. His bright green shirt was clean, but David noticed how carefully. Sarah positioned herself to block the view into the apartment. "I'll take a look at it right away," David said, following her inside. The apartment was small but spotlessly clean. Every surface had been scrubbed, every toy placed in its proper location. It was clear that Sarah took tremendous pride in her home, despite its modest size and aging fixtures. As they walked toward the kitchen, David's trained eye noticed things that his reports had never captured: the way Sarah had arranged colorful drawings on the refrigerator to hide rust spots, how she'd positioned a small rug to cover a worn patch in the linoleum, the creative ways she'd made the space feel warm and welcoming for her son. But what stopped him in his tracks was the scene. In the kitchen, Sarah was kneeling beside the sink, which was filled with soapy water. In her hands were small clothes, a tiny pair of jeans, several colorful t-shirts, and what looked like superhero underwear. She was washing them by hand, scrubbing each piece carefully before rinsing them in clean water she'd drawn in a large pot. "I'm sorry," she said, noticing his stare. "I know this probably looks strange. The washing machine in the laundry room has been broken for 2 weeks, and I can't afford the laundromat every few days. Tommy here goes through a lot of clothes." She smiled down at her son, who had followed them into the kitchen. "Don't you, buddy?" Tommy nodded seriously. "I got paint on my shirt at daycare yesterday and I spilled juice at lunch. Mama says accidents happen." David felt something tighten in his chest. Here was a mother doing whatever it took to keep her child clean and happy, making do with broken facilities that he, as the owner, should have fixed immediately. "The laundry room's been broken for 2 weeks, he asked, trying to keep his voice casual while he examined the dripping faucet. "Well, longer than that, really," Sarah admitted. "But I know these things take time. The building manager said they're working on getting parts or something. I don't want to be a bother." David's hands stilled on his wrench. 2 weeks. In his latest property management report, the laundry room at this building had been listed as operational. Someone wasn't doing their job, and families like Sarah's were paying the price. "Let me look at this faucet," he said, refocusing on the immediate problem. As he worked, Sarah continued washing clothes in the sink beside him. She moved efficiently, her hands red from the hot water, humming softly to keep Tommy entertained. The little boy sat on the kitchen floor, creating elaborate battles between his dinosaur and a small action figure. "Mama, when will the washing machine be fixed?" Tommy asked. "Soon, sweetheart," Sarah replied, though David caught the uncertainty in her voice. "Until then, we're managing just fine." But David could see it wasn't fine. Sarah's hands were chapped from repeatedly washing clothes in harsh soap. Dark circles under her eyes suggested sleepless nights, probably spent catching up on household tasks after Tommy went to bed. Her grocery list, stuck to the refrigerator with a cheerful magnet, had been crossed out and rewritten multiple times, the careful budget adjustments of someone stretching every dollar. "There," David said, turning the faucet handle. Water. It flowed smoothly without the persistent drip that had been wasting water and keeping Sarah awake at night. "That should do it." "Thank you so much," Sarah said gratefully. "I really appreciate you coming so quickly." "Well, relatively quickly," she added with a rueful smile as David packed up his tools. He made a decision that would reveal everything. "Sarah," he said carefully, "I need to tell you something. I'm not just a maintenance worker." She looked up, from the sink confusion crossing her face. "My name is David Chen, and I own this building. I've been working undercover in my own properties to understand what my tenants really experience." Sarah's hands went still in the soapy water. "You single quotes read ... What? I'm the CEO of Harbor Point Holdings," David continued gently, "and what I've seen here today is unacceptable. No parent should have to wash their child's clothes in a kitchen sink because we failed to maintain basic facilities. Sarah stepped back, water dripping from her hands. I don't understand. Are you going to evict me? I swear I always pay my rent on time. I take good care of the apartment. Evict you? David shook his head firmly. Sarah, you're exactly the kind of tenant any property owner should feel honored to have. You've taken beautiful care of your home despite maintenance failures that are entirely my responsibility. Tommy looked up from his toys, sensing the serious tone of the adult conversation. What happens now? Sarah asked quietly. David pulled out his phone. Now I make some calls. The laundry room will be fully operational by tomorrow morning. You'll receive a credit on next month's rent to compensate for the inconvenience you've endured. And I'm implementing new policies to ensure maintenance requests are handled within 24 hours. Sarah sank into one of her kitchen chairs, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, David replied. You've already taught me more about running this business than 3 years of board meetings ever could. As he prepared to leave, Tommy tugged on his coveralls. Mister, will you help other mamas too? David knelt down to the little boy's level. Yes, Tommy. I promise I'll help other families just like yours. Walking back down that hallway, David pulled out his phone and began making calls. Real change was about to begin, one apartment building at a time, and it had all started with a mother's quiet dignity in a kitchen sink full of soapy water.